Someone help us! A voice cried from inside. Kananyo didn't think twice. He ran into the house, covering his nose with his hand to block the thick smoke. Inside, chaos reigned. He spotted Chidon's frightened wife struggling to carry a small box filled with important documents. "Madam, leave it! You need to get out now!" Kananyo shouted. In a beautiful, quiet town, there lived a cheerful family in a tiny but cozy house. Kananyo, the father, worked as a driver for a wealthy man named Chidon. His wife was a housewife, caring for their two daughters, Chibugo and Dera. Although they didn't have much, their home was filled with love and laughter. Chibugo, the eldest daughter, was 13 years old. She was a brave and strong girl who always looked out for her younger sister, Dera. Dera, only 7, was a cheerful and sweet child who adored Chibugo. Wherever Chibugo went, Dera followed like a little shadow. "Mama, can we go outside to play?" Dera asked one sunny afternoon. "Make sure you don't go too far," their mother replied, smiling as she stirred the soup on the fire. "And Chibugo, watch over your sister." "Yes, Mama," Chibugo said, holding Dera's hand as they ran outside. The girls loved playing under the big mango tree near their house. They would laugh, climb the low branches, and imagine all sorts of adventures. Sometimes they pretended to be explorers looking for hidden treasures. Other times, they were princesses in a wealthy royal home. "Chibugo, when I grow up, I want to be just like you," Dera said one day, her eyes sparkling with admiration. Chibugo laughed. "That's silly, Dera. You'll be even better than me." "No, I won't," Dera argued playfully. "You're the best sister in the whole world." Their games were interrupted when Kananyo came home from work. His face lit up as he saw his daughters running toward him. "Daddy, you're back!" Dera shouted, throwing her arms around his legs. "Yes, my little one. How was your day?" Kananyo asked, scooping her up in his arms. "It was fun. Chibugo and I played princesses today," Dera said excitedly. "That's wonderful," Kananyo said with a warm smile. "But have you been good for your mama?" "Yes, Daddy," both girls chorused, giggling. Kananyo laughed and set Dera down. He walked into the house, where his wife greeted him with a hug. "Welcome, my husband," she said. "You must be tired." "It's nothing I can't handle," Kananyo replied, sitting down to rest. "As long as I have you and the girls, I'm happy." That evening, the family sat together for dinner. Their meal was simple, beans, but they ate with joy, sharing stories and laughter. Chibugo told her parents about Dera's funny antics, and Dera tried to copy her sister's words, making everyone laugh even more. As night fell, Kananyo tucked Dera into bed while Chibugo lay on her mat nearby. He kissed their foreheads and whispered, "Good night, my precious girls. Sleep well." "Good night, Daddy," they said together, their voices soft with sleepiness. The little house grew quiet as the family drifted off to sleep, their hearts full of love. They didn't have riches, but they had each other, and that was all they needed. Little did they know, this happiness would soon be tested in ways they could never imagine. The sun had barely risen when Kananyo left for work at Chidon's mansion. It was a normal day, and he kissed his wife goodbye, promising to return home early to spend time with Chibugo and Dera. The girls waved from the doorway, shouting, "Bye, Daddy! Come back soon!" At Chidon's grand mansion, everything seemed ordinary until late in the afternoon. Suddenly, smoke began to fill the air. Flames erupted from the kitchen, spreading rapidly through the luxurious house. Servants screamed and ran in every direction, trying to save whatever they could. Kananyo was in the garage cleaning Chidon's car when he heard the shouts. He rushed outside and saw the flames swallowing the mansion. "Help! Someone help us!" A voice cried from inside. Kananyo didn't think twice. He ran into the house, covering his nose with his hand to block the thick smoke. Inside, chaos reigned. He spotted Chidon's frightened wife struggling to carry a small box filled with important documents. "Madam, leave it! You need to get out now!" Kananyo shouted. "No! These are Chidon's documents," she argued. Kananyo grabbed the box and shoved it into her hands. "Go now! I'll get the others!" The fire grew fiercer, roaring like an angry beast. Kananyo tried to grab some other valuables, but found himself surrounded by smoke and flames. As he searched for a way out, a beam from the ceiling came crashing down, blocking his path. He coughed, gasping for air as the fire closed in on him. Outside, Chidon arrived just in time to see the fire consume his mansion. His wife and staff were already outside, coughing and crying. "Where's Kananyo?" Chidon asked desperately. "He went back in to help," someone answered. Chidon's heart sank as he stared at the blazing house. The fire was too strong now. There was no way anyone could survive inside. Back at home, Chibugo and Dara were playing near the mango tree when their mother called them inside. "Girls, come wash up. Your daddy will be home soon," she said, smiling. Just as they were settling in, there was a loud knock on the door. Their mother opened it to find Chidon standing there, his face pale and filled with sorrow. "What happened?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I'm so sorry," Chidon said, his voice heavy. "There was a fire. Kananyo didn't make it." The words hit her like a thunderbolt. Her legs gave way, and she collapsed on the floor, wailing. Chibugo and Dara stood frozen, unable to process what they had just heard. "No! It's not true!" Chibugo shouted, tears streaming down her face. "Daddy can't be gone!" Dara clung to her sister, sobbing. "Where is Daddy? When is he coming back?" Their mother held them tightly, her tears soaking their hair. "Your daddy is with God now," she whispered, though her heart felt like it was shattering into pieces. That night, the once lively house was silent. Chibugo sat awake, staring at the empty chair where Kananyo used to sit. Dara, still too young to understand fully, asked again and again, "When will Daddy come back?" Chibugo could only hug her and say, "He's in heaven, Dara. He'll always watch over us." But deep inside, Chibugo's heart was breaking. She felt a weight she had never known before. The fear of a future without her father. Little did they know, their struggles were only beginning. The days after Kananyo's death were filled with sadness and uncertainty. Chibugo, Dara, and their mother tried to hold on, but life without Kananyo was hard. He had been their rock, and now everything seemed to fall apart. Their mother, overwhelmed with grief, spent most of her time crying. Her strength began to fade, and soon she became too weak to care for Chibugo and Dara properly. "Mama, you need to eat," Chibugo said one evening, bringing a bowl of watery soup to her mother's bedside. "I'm not hungry, my child," their mother whispered, her voice faint. "I just need to rest." Chibugo bit her lip, trying to be brave. She couldn't let Dara see her cry. "You'll feel better soon, Mama. I'll take care of everything." Dara sat quietly by their mother's side, clutching her small doll. "Mama, are you sick because my daddy is in heaven?" she asked innocently. Their mother managed a weak smile. "Yes, my sweet girl. But don't worry. God will take care of us." Despite Chibugo's best efforts, their mother grew weaker every day. One cold, quiet night, as Chibugo and Dara slept beside her, their mother passed away peacefully. Chibugo woke up to find her mother's hand cold in hers. She shook her gently. "Mama, wake up," Chibugo whispered, her voice trembling. But their mother didn't respond. Realizing the truth, Chibugo's heart broke into 1,000,000 pieces. Tears streamed down her face as she clung to Dara. She's gone, Chibugo whispered, her voice shaking. Mama's gone. Dara's eyes widened in shock. No, she can't leave us too, she cried, throwing herself onto their mother's still body. Chibugo held her tightly, both of them sobbing uncontrollably. The next few days were a blur. Kind neighbors helped arrange a simple burial. Chibugo and Dara stood by their mother's grave, holding hands as tears rolled down their cheeks. They felt completely alone in the world. After the burial, a kind neighbor named Auntie Felicia approached the girls. Chibugo, Dara, I know this is hard, but I've spoken to your relatives in the city. They've agreed to take you in. You'll have a new home. Chibugo's heart ached at the thought of leaving the only home they'd ever known. But she nodded. As long as we're together, we'll be okay, she said, looking down at Dara, who clung to her hand. The following day, Auntie Felicia took them to the bus terminal. The station was crowded with people rushing to catch their buses. Chibugo held Dara's hand tightly as they waited. Don't let go, okay? Chibugo said, her voice firm. Stay close to me. I won't, Chibugo, Dara replied, gripping her sister's hand as tightly as she could. But as the crowd grew thicker, people pushed and jostled them. Chibugo tried to keep hold of Dara, but someone bumped into her hard, breaking their grip. Chibugo! Dara cried, her small hand slipping away. Dara! Chibugo screamed, spinning around desperately. But the crowd was too thick, and Dara had disappeared. Chibugo ran through the terminal, shouting her sister's name. Dara, where are you? Tears blurred her vision as she searched every corner. But Dara was nowhere to be found. Hours later, Chibugo collapsed on the side of the road, exhausted and sobbing. A poor family passing by noticed her and stopped. Are you lost, child? The woman asked gently. I lost my sister, Chibugo whispered, her voice choked with tears. The woman exchanged a look with her husband. Come with us. We'll help you, she said. Chibugo hesitated, her heart breaking at the thought of leaving without Dara. But she had no choice. She followed the family, her heart heavy with grief and worry. Meanwhile, Dara wandered aimlessly through the bustling terminal, crying for her sister. A cruel-looking couple spotted her and approached. Are you lost, little girl? The woman asked, feigning concern. Dara sniffled. I can't find my sister. Don't worry, you can come with us, the man said, taking her hand. But their intentions were far from kind. They saw an opportunity to use Dara as cheap labor. As Dara was led away, she clutched her doll tightly, tears streaming down her face. She whispered, Chibugo, where are you? The sisters were now separated, each facing an uncertain and difficult future. But in their hearts, they held on to the hope that one day they would find each other again. The poor family who took Chibugo in lived in a tiny house at the edge of the town. The father was a laborer who worked in different places and sites to make a small income, while the mother sold roasted yam and plantain by the roadside. They had children of their own, and they were kind, but it was clear they struggled to make ends meet. You'll sleep here, the mother, Mama Chioma, said, pointing to a small mat on the floor. It's not much, but it's all we have. Thank you, Chibugo whispered, clutching her small bag of belongings. Her heart was heavy with worry for Dara, but she didn't want to appear ungrateful. The next morning, Chibugo woke up to the sound of Mama Chioma's voice. Chibugo, wake up. It's time to fetch water. Chibugo rubbed her eyes and got up quickly. Yes, Mama, she said. She followed Mama Chioma and the children to the community well, carrying a heavy bucket on her head, just like the others. Life in her new home was hard. Chibugo helped with chores from sunrise to sunset. She swept the yard, washed clothes, and helped Mama Chioma roast yam and plantain. She often felt exhausted, but she never complained. She knew she was lucky to have a roof over her head. "Chibugo, you're a good girl," Mama Chioma said one evening as they sat by the fire. "I know you miss your family, but you have to stay strong. Life can be hard, but God sees everything." Chibugo nodded, her eyes shining with tears. "I just miss my sister, Dara," she said quietly. "I promised to protect her, but now I don't even know if she's safe." Mama Chioma placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Don't lose hope. If it's God's will, you'll see her again." Despite Mama Chioma's kind words, Chibugo couldn't help but feel a growing emptiness in her heart. Every night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling and wondering where Dara was. Was she safe? Was she scared? Did she have someone to take care of her? "I'll find you one day, Dara," Chibugo whispered to herself. "I promise." Meanwhile, life for Dara was much worse. The cruel couple who had taken her in forced her to sell snacks on the streets. They gave her little to eat and made her work from morning till night. "Get up, girl," the woman barked one morning, throwing a piece of bread at Dara. "You're already late for the market." Dara hurriedly grabbed her basket of goods and ran out to the busy street corner. She spent her days crying silently as she called out, "Snacks for sale? Buy some bread and groundnuts." Some days, kind strangers gave her a few coins or a smile, but most people ignored her. Despite the cruelty of her new guardians, Dara held on to hope. She clutched the small, worn-out doll Chibugo had given her before they were separated, drawing strength from it. "Chibugo, I miss you," Dara whispered to the doll one evening after a long day of work. "I hope you're okay." Back in Chibugo's new home, she tried to adjust to her new life. She worked hard during the day and helped Mama Chioma sell roasted yam and plantain in the evenings. The family's kindness gave her some comfort, but nothing could fill the hole in her heart where Dara belonged. One day, as Chibugo swept the yard, she overheard the man talking to a neighbor. "I heard about a girl selling bread on the streets," the neighbor said. "She looked lost, like she didn't belong there." Chibugo's ears perked up. "A girl selling bread? Where did you see her?" The neighbor looked at Chibugo, surprised. "Oh, in the city, near the main market." Chibugo's heart raced. Could it be Dara? The thought of her sister struggling alone in the city filled her with determination. She clenched her fists, a spark of hope igniting within her. "I'll find you, Dara," she thought. "No matter how hard it is, I'll find you." Dara's days were long and painful. The cruel couple who had taken her in didn't care about her well-being. Every morning, the woman would shove a basket of snacks into her hands and send her to the crowded streets. "Sell everything, and don't you dare come back with anything left," the woman would yell, her sharp voice cutting through the air. "Yes, ma'am," Dara would reply softly, clutching her basket and stepping out into the busy street. She walked through the market, calling out in her small voice, "Snacks for sale! Buy bread and groundnuts!" The city was noisy and chaotic, with people hurrying about their business. Dara's tiny frame often got lost in the sea of adults. Some days, kind strangers would buy her snacks or give her a coin or two. Other days, she was ignored or yelled at for getting in the way. One evening, after a long day, Dara returned home with her basket half empty. The woman who took care of collecting her earnings counted the money and frowned. "This is all you made?" she barked, slamming the coins onto the table. I tried my best," Dara stammered, her voice trembling. "The market wasn't busy today." "Lazy girl," the woman snapped. "Maybe you need to go without dinner tonight, so you'll learn to work harder." Dara's stomach growled as the woman snatched the bread from her hands, leaving her with nothing to eat. She crawled to her corner of the room and hugged her small doll tightly. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, "Chibugo, where are you? I need you." While Dara endured this harsh treatment, her kind heart never wavered. One day, a young boy approached her as she sold snacks on the street. He looked thin and hungry, his clothes torn and dirty. "Excuse me," he said shyly. "I don't have any money, but I'm very hungry. Can I have something to eat?" Dara looked at her basket, knowing she'd be punished if she gave anything away. But the sight of the boy's desperate eyes tugged at her heart. She reached into the basket and handed him a piece of bread. "Here," she said softly. "Eat this." The boy's face lit up with joy. "Thank you. You're very kind," he exclaimed before running off. Dara felt a warmth in her heart, but her act of kindness didn't go unnoticed. That evening, when she returned home, the woman noticed the missing bread. "Where's the rest of the bread?" she demanded, glaring at Dara. I gave it to a hungry boy," Dara admitted, her voice barely a whisper. The woman's face twisted with anger. "How dare you give away what isn't yours? Foolish girl!" she shouted, grabbing a stick and striking Dara's legs. "Next time, think before you act," Dara cried silently, clutching her doll as the pain seared through her body. But even as she suffered, she didn't regret helping the boy. Chibugo would have done the same, she thought to herself. Meanwhile, Chibugo's life was improving slightly. The family who took her in continued to show her kindness. She worked hard and helped them with their small business. But no matter how busy she was, she never stopped thinking about Dara. One evening, as Chibugo and Mama Chioma roasted yam and plantain by the roadside, Chibugo shared her thoughts. "Mama Chioma, do you think I'll ever find Dara?" Chibugo asked, her voice filled with sadness. Mama Chioma sighed, her eyes kind but weary. "I believe you will, Chibugo. God has a way of bringing loved ones back together." Chibugo nodded, wiping away a tear. She had to stay strong. For Dara's sake, Dara, on the other hand, was beginning to lose hope. She often dreamed of Chibugo coming to rescue her, but every time she woke up, she was still trapped in her cruel reality. Yet, even in her darkest moments, she held on to the small doll and whispered, "I'll find you, Chibugo. I know I will." Though separated by miles, the bond between the sisters remained strong, giving them both the strength to endure their struggles. Months had passed since Chibugo had been separated from Dara, and not a day went by without her thinking of her little sister. Although life with Mama Chioma's family was tough, Chibugo's determination to find Dara only grew stronger. One evening, as Chibugo helped Mama Chioma roast yam and plantain by the roadside, she overheard a conversation between two women. "Did you see that poor little girl selling snacks near the market? She looks so sad, always clutching a doll," one woman said. Chibugo's heart skipped a beat. She quickly turned to them. "Excuse me," she interrupted, her voice trembling. "Did you say a little girl with a doll?" The woman nodded. "Yes, she's always at the main market, selling bread and groundnuts. She looks lost, poor thing." "Do you know her name?" Chibugo asked urgently. The women shook their heads. "No, but she's there most days. Why do you ask?" Chibugo took a deep breath. I think she's my sister." The women exchanged surprised looks, but didn't press further. Chibugo's mind was racing. Could it really be Dara? She had to find out. That night, Chibugo couldn't sleep. She lay on her mat, staring at the ceiling and clutching the thin blanket Mama Chioma had given her. Memories of Dara flooded her mind, her sweet smile, her laughter, and how she always followed Chibugo everywhere. "I'll find you, Dara," Chibugo whispered into the dark. "I promise." The next morning, Chibugo approached Mama Chioma with a determined look on her face. Mama Chioma, I need your help. Mama Chioma paused from kneading dough for akara and looked up. What is it, Chibugo? I think I know where Dara is, Chibugo said, her voice steady. She might be at the main market selling snacks. Mama Chioma's eyes widened. Are you sure? That market is crowded and dangerous for a young girl. I have to try, Chibugo said. Please, Mama Chioma. I'll do anything to get there. Mama Chioma sighed deeply, wiping her hands on her wrapper. Chibugo, you have a brave heart. I'll ask my husband if he can take you on his bicycle tomorrow morning. Chibugo's face lit up with hope. Thank you, Mama Chioma. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, Dara's days were getting harder. The cruel couple pushed her to sell more and more, barely giving her time to rest. Her small hands were blistered from carrying heavy baskets, and her legs ached from standing all day. But even in her pain, she clung to the doll Chibugo had given her. One evening, as she sat on the roadside after a long day, a small boy approached her. It was the same boy she had given bread to weeks ago. Hello, he said with a shy smile. I never got to thank you properly for helping me. Dara managed a weak smile. You're welcome. The boy looked at her closely. Why do you always look so sad? Dara's eyes filled with tears. I miss my sister. We got separated, and I don't know where she is. The boy nodded thoughtfully. Maybe one day you'll find her. Dara wiped her tears and nodded. I hope so. The next morning, Chibugo woke up before dawn, her heart pounding with anticipation. Mama Chioma's husband had agreed to take her to the market on his bicycle. Be careful, Chibugo, Mama Chioma said, tying a scarf around Chibugo's head to keep her hair neat. And don't wander off alone. I'll be fine, Mama Chioma, Chibugo replied. Thank you for everything. The ride to the market felt like an eternity. Chibugo scanned the busy streets as they approached, her eyes darting from one corner to another. When they arrived, she jumped off the bicycle and ran into the crowd. Dara, she called, her voice trembling. Dara, where are you? The market was bustling with vendors shouting about their goods and customers bargaining for better prices. Chibugo's voice was drowned out by the noise. She searched every stall, every corner, her heart sinking with every passing minute. Just as she was about to give up, she spotted a small girl sitting on a wooden crate, holding a basket of bread and ground nuts. Chibugo froze. The girl's hair was messy, and her face was tired, but Chibugo recognized her instantly. Dara! Chibugo shouted, running toward her. The girl looked up, startled. Her eyes widened as recognition dawned on her face. Chibugo? They ran toward each other and embraced tightly, tears streaming down their faces. I thought I'd never see you again, Dara sobbed, clutching her sister. I promised I'd find you, Chibugo whispered, her voice breaking. And I'll never let you go again. The moment was interrupted by the woman who had taken Dara in. She stormed over, her face twisted with anger. What do you think you're doing? That girl belongs to me. Chibugo stood protectively in front of Dara. She's my sister and she's coming with me. The woman lunged toward Dara, but a group of bystanders intervened. Leave the girls alone, one man shouted. You've no right to keep her. Realizing she was outnumbered, the woman sneered and walked away. Chibugo held Dara close, tears of relief streaming down her face. You're safe now, Dara, Chibugo said. I'll take care of you just like I promised. Together, the sisters walked back toward the bicycle, ready to start a new chapter in their lives, this time together. The ride back to Mama Chioma's house was filled with tears and smiles as Chibugo and Dara clung to each other. Dara couldn't stop crying, her tiny hands gripping Chibugo tightly. as if letting go might separate them again. Chibugo, I thought I'd never see you again, Dara whispered through her tears. I promised you, Dara. I told you I'd find you, and I'll never let you go again, Chibugo replied, stroking her sister's hair. Mama Chioma and her husband were waiting outside when the girls arrived. Seeing Chibugo and Dara together brought a smile to Mama Chioma's face. Is this your sister, Chibugo? Mama Chioma asked warmly. Yes, Mama. This is Dara, Chibugo said proudly, holding her sister's hand. Mama Chioma crouched down and looked at Dara, her eyes filled with kindness. Welcome, my dear. You're safe now. Come inside and let's get you something to eat. Dara hesitated for a moment, unused to such kindness, but Chibugo nodded encouragingly. It's okay, Dara. Mama Chioma is kind. She's been taking good care of me. Inside the small house, Mama Chioma served them a small concussion rice. Dara ate hungrily, her small frame revealing how much she had suffered. You've been through a lot, haven't you? Mama Chioma asked gently. Dara nodded, her mouth full of food. The people who took me made me sell snacks on the street every day. They were mean to me, but I kept hoping Chibugo would find me. Chibugo's heart ached hearing this, but she reached over and held Dara's hand. I'm so sorry, Dara. I should have held on to you tighter that day. It's not your fault, Dara said, her eyes brimming with tears. I'm just happy we're together again. That night, Chibugo and Dara lay on the mat they now shared. The room was small and cramped, but it didn't matter to them. They were together, and that was all that mattered. Chibugo, what will we do now? Dara asked softly. We'll stay here for now, Chibugo replied. Mama Chioma and her family are kind, but I'll work hard to make sure we have our own place someday. I want to give you a better life. Dara hugged her doll tightly. Do you think we'll ever be happy like we used to be? Chibugo smiled faintly. We will. It might take time, but I'll do everything I can to make sure we're happy again. The next day, Chibugo began helping Mama Chioma with her roadside roasted yam and plantain business as usual. But this time, she had Dara by her side. Dara was eager to help, handing roasted yam and plantain to customers and collecting small coins. She smiled shyly when one customer praised her for being hardworking. Chibugo, I like helping, Dara said as they walked home that evening. Chibugo smiled. You've always been hardworking, Dara, but I don't want you to work too hard. You're still a child. I just want to be with you, Dara said, slipping her small hand into Chibugo's. As long as we're together, I'll do anything. As days turned into weeks, the sisters began to settle into their new life. Chibugo worked tirelessly, helping Mama Chioma sell roasted yam and plantain and learning to sew from a nearby tailor during her free time. She had a plan. She wanted to become a skilled tailor so she could provide for herself and Dara. Dara, meanwhile, adjusted to her new surroundings. She played with Mama Chioma's children and helped around the house. But at night, she would often wake up from nightmares, crying out for Chibugo. One night, Chibugo woke to find Dara trembling beside her. What's wrong, Dara? She asked, pulling her sister close. I keep dreaming about the bad people, Dara said, tears streaming down her face. I'm scared they'll take me away again. Chibugo hugged her tightly. No one will take you away again, Dara. I promise. You're safe now. Dara buried her face in Chibugo's shoulder, finding comfort in her sister's presence. I love you, Chibugo. I love you too, Dara, Chibugo whispered. And I'll always protect you. Life wasn't easy, but the sisters found strength in each other. They laughed, cried, and worked side by side, slowly rebuilding their lives. With Mama Chioma's guidance and kindness, Chibugo started to believe that brighter days were ahead But deep in her heart, Chibugo knew they couldn't stay in Mama Chioma's house forever. She had to find a way to stand on her own feet, not just for herself, but for Dara too. The bond they shared gave her the courage to dream again, and she silently vowed to give Dara the life she deserved. Chibugo had spent weeks helping Mama Chioma with her roasted yam and plantain business, and learning how to sew from a local tailor named Auntie Ifeoma. The skill came naturally to her, and she often found herself sketching simple dress designs at night after Dara had fallen asleep. One evening, as Chibugo practiced sewing on an old piece of fabric, Auntie Ifeoma looked over her shoulder. "You have a gift, Chibugo," she said, nodding approvingly. "Your stitches are neat, and your designs are creative. Have you thought about becoming a tailor?" Chibugo's eyes lit up. "I would love that, Auntie Ifeoma, but I don't have money to buy materials or a sewing machine." Auntie Ifeoma smiled kindly. "Don't worry, my dear. You can use my machine whenever you want, and I'll help you get started. You just need to work hard and believe in yourself." Chibugo's heart swelled with hope. She had found a path forward, something that could provide for her and Dara. At home, Chibugo shared her dream with Dara. "One day, I'll open my own sewing shop, and we'll have everything we need," she said, her voice filled with determination. Dara clapped her hands in excitement. "Chibugo, can you make me a dress someday? A beautiful one, like the ones Mama used to sew for us?" "Of course, Dara," Chibugo replied, smiling. "You'll be my first customer." Dara beamed, holding her doll tightly. "I believe in you, Chibugo. You can do anything." The next morning, Chibugo began spending more time at Auntie Ifeoma's shop, learning everything she could about tailoring. Auntie Ifeoma taught her how to measure clients, cut fabric, and use different stitching techniques. Chibugo absorbed every lesson like a sponge, eager to master the craft. Dara often accompanied her to the shop, sitting quietly in a corner as Chibugo worked. She loved watching her sister sew, her hands moving quickly and skillfully. It made her feel proud. One day, a customer entered the shop, a tall woman with a kind face. "Good afternoon, Auntie Ifeoma," she said, placing a bundle of fabric on the counter. "I need a dress for my daughter's birthday party." Auntie Ifeoma nodded. "Of course, Madam Jacinta. Chibugo, why don't you take this order?" Chibugo's eyes widened. "Me?" "Yes, you," Auntie Ifeoma said, smiling. "I trust you. You're ready." Chibugo nervously approached Madame Jacinta and took her measurements, writing them down carefully. "Thank you for trusting me," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "Don't thank me yet," Madame Jacinta said, laughing. "Let's see how the dress turns out first." For the next few days, Chibugo worked tirelessly on the dress, pouring all her effort and creativity into it. When it was finally done, she showed it to Auntie Ifeoma. "It's beautiful," Auntie Ifeoma said, inspecting the seams. "You've done an excellent job." Chibugo delivered the dress to Madame Jacinta, her heart pounding with nervousness. The woman examined it carefully, then broke into a wide smile. "This is perfect!" Madame Jacinta exclaimed. "You have real talent, young lady. How much do I owe you?" Chibugo hesitated, unsure of what to say. Auntie Ifeoma stepped in. "Pay her what you think is fair, Jacinta." Madame Jacinta handed Chibugo a few crisp bills. It was more money than Chibugo had ever seen at once. "Thank you," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. At home, Chibugo showed the money to Dara. "Look, Dara, this is the first step toward our dream." Dara's eyes sparkled. "You did it, Chibugo. I'm so proud of you." That night, as Chibugo lay on the mat with Dara, she whispered, "This is just the beginning. One day, we'll have our own home, and you'll never have to worry about anything again." Dara hugged her tightly. I believe you, Chibugo. I know you'll make it happen. But Chibugo's journey was far from over. Though she had taken her first step toward her dream, challenges still lay ahead. She would have to navigate the world of business, find her place in a competitive market, and protect Dara from the lingering shadows of their past. Still, as Chibugo drifted off to sleep, she felt a renewed sense of hope. For the first time in a long while, she could see a brighter future on the horizon. While Chibugo was building her dream, Dara's past continued to cast shadows over her present. The cruel couple who had taken her in, though distant now, left lasting scars on her young heart. One day, as Dara was helping Mama Chioma's children fetch water, she saw a man in the distance who looked eerily familiar. Her heart raced. It was the cruel man who used to force her to sell snacks on the streets. "Chibugo!" Dara screamed, dropping the water bucket and running back to the house. Chibugo, who was sewing in the corner of the room, jumped up at the sound of Dara's voice. "Dara, what's wrong?" she asked, rushing to her sister's side. I saw him," Dara cried, trembling. "The man who used to hurt me." Chibugo's face darkened. "Where did you see him?" "Near the well," Dara whispered, her voice shaky. "What if he tries to take me again?" Chibugo knelt down and held Dara tightly. "No one will ever take you away from me again," she said firmly. "I promise." That night, Chibugo sat awake, her mind racing. She couldn't shake the thought of Dara's past haunting them. She decided it was time to take action. She couldn't just wait for trouble to find them. She had to ensure their safety. The next morning, Chibugo approached Mama Chioma. "Mama, I need to talk to you." Mama Chioma put down the basket of roasted yam and plantain she was carrying. "What is it, Chibugo?" "I think it's time for me and Dara to move out," Chibugo said, her voice steady but filled with determination. "You've done so much for us, but I need to stand on my own. I want to keep Dara safe, and I feel like I can only do that if we have our own space." Mama Chioma nodded slowly, understanding Chibugo's concern. "You're a brave girl, Chibugo. I'll miss having you here, but I know this is something you need to do. Just promise me you'll visit." "I promise," Chibugo said, smiling gratefully. "And thank you, Mama, for everything." Using the money she had earned from sewing, Chibugo rented a tiny room on the edge of town. It wasn't much, just a small space with a single bed and a table, but it was theirs. When she showed it to Dara, the little girl's face lit up. "This is our house?" she asked, her voice full of wonder. "Yes, Dara," Chibugo said, kneeling down to her level. "It's not big, but it's ours. No one can take it from us." Dara hugged Chibugo tightly. "Thank you, Chibugo. I love it." As the days passed, Chibugo and Dara began to settle into their new home. Chibugo worked harder than ever, taking sewing jobs during the day and sketching new designs at night. Dara helped with small chores and even started learning how to sew from Chibugo. One evening, as they were eating a simple dinner of rice and beans, Dara looked up at her sister. "Chibugo, do you think we'll ever stop being scared?" Chibugo reached across the table and held Dara's hand. "I don't know, Dara, but as long as we're together, we can face anything." Dara smiled, her fear easing with Chibugo's words. "You're the best sister in the world." "And you're the best little sister," Chibugo replied, her voice filled with warmth. But Chibugo knew their journey was far from over. While they had taken steps toward a better life, the world was still unpredictable. Yet, she was determined to protect Dara and build a future where fear would no longer have a place. And deep down, Chibugo knew that their bond, stronger than any challenge, would be the key to their survival. Chibugo and Dara's new life in their tiny home was peaceful compared to their past struggles. Although they didn't have much, they had each other, and that was all they needed. Chibugo's sewing skills quickly became popular in their neighborhood, and more clients began to visit her for custom dresses and repairs. One sunny afternoon, Chibugo received a visit from a woman she didn't recognize. The woman was well-dressed and carried a large bag of fabric. "Good afternoon, Chibugo," the woman greeted her warmly. "My name is Mrs. Chika. I heard about your talent from Madam Jacinta. I'd like you to sew some dresses for me." Chibugo's heart swelled with pride. "Thank you, Mrs. Chika. I'd be happy to help. Please have a seat." As Chibugo measured the fabric and wrote down Mrs. Chika's requirements, Dara sat in the corner, watching her sister work. She felt a surge of pride. Chibugo wasn't just her big sister anymore. She was her hero. That evening, after Mrs. Chika left, Chibugo sat with Dara at their small table, counting the payment she had received. "Dara, do you know what this means?" Chibugo asked, her face glowing with excitement. "What?" Dara asked curiously. "This means we can buy more fabric and maybe even save for a sewing machine of our own," Chibugo said. "We're getting closer to our dream, Dara." Dara clapped her hands, her face lighting up. "Chibugo, you're amazing! Can I help you sew one day?" Chibugo laughed and pulled Dara into a hug. "Of course you can. You'll be my assistant." Dara grinned. "I'll be the best assistant ever." The days turned into weeks, and Chibugo's sewing business continued to grow. She worked long hours, but her heart was full because she was building a better future for herself and Dara. One day, as Chibugo and Dara were walking back from the market with bundles of fabric, they passed a group of children playing on the street. A little boy ran up to them and smiled at Dara. "Hi, I'm Basil," he said. "Do you want to play with us?" Dara looked up at Chibugo, who nodded encouragingly. "Go ahead, Dara. I'll wait here." Dara joined the children, her laughter filling the air as they played a game of tag. Chibugo watched with a smile, grateful to see her sister happy and carefree for the first time in a long time. "Thank you, Chibugo," Dara said breathlessly when she returned. "That was so much fun." "You deserve to have fun, Dara," Chibugo said, ruffling her sister's hair. "You're just a kid after all." One evening, as Chibugo was finishing a dress, there was a knock at the door. She opened it to find Auntie Ifeoma standing there, holding a sewing machine. "Chibugo, this is for you," Auntie Ifeoma said, her eyes warm with kindness. Chibugo's jaw dropped. "For me? But I can't accept this. It's too much." Auntie Ifeoma smiled. "You've earned it, Chibugo. You've worked so hard and I'm proud of you. This sewing machine will help you grow your business." Tears filled Chibugo's eyes as she accepted the gift. "Thank you, Auntie Ifeoma. I don't know how to repay you." "You repay me by succeeding," Auntie Ifeoma said. "I know you will." With her new sewing machine, Chibugo's business blossomed even more. She began sewing for bigger clients and saving enough money to improve their tiny home. She even made Dara the beautiful dress she had promised her. When Dara tried on the dress, she twirled around the room, her face glowing with happiness. "Chibugo, it's perfect. I love it." Chibugo smiled, her heart full. "You look beautiful, Dara." As they sat down to dinner that night, Chibugo looked at Dara and felt a deep sense of gratitude. They had been through so much, but they had come out stronger. And though the future was uncertain, one thing was clear. Together, they could face anything. "This is just the beginning, Dara," Chibugo said softly. "We're going to build a life filled with joy and love. I promise." Dara smiled, her eyes shining with hope. "I believe you, Chibugo. I always have." Chibugo's sewing business grew rapidly with the help of Auntie Ifeoma's sewing machine. More clients from surrounding neighborhoods began seeking her out, and her reputation as a talented and reliable seamstress spread far and wide. Each day brought a new opportunity, and with each stitch, Chibugo felt she was weaving a brighter future for herself and Dara. One sunny morning, as Chibugo was organizing her fabrics, a man in a sharp suit walked into her little sewing shop. He introduced himself as Mr. Obina, a tailor from the city who owned a large tailoring business. "Good morning, Chibugo," Mr. Obina said with a warm smile. "I've heard great things about your work, and I'm impressed. I've come to offer you a partnership." Chibugo froze, surprised by his words. "A partnership? What do you mean, sir?" Mr. Obina sat down and explained. "I'm expanding my business and opening a branch here in town. I'd like you to be the head tailor for this branch. Your skills are exactly what I'm looking for." Chibugo's heart raced. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. But she hesitated. "Thank you, sir, but I'm just starting out. I'm not sure I'm ready for something this big." Mr. Obina smiled. "Chibugo, you're more than ready. I've seen your work, and I know talent when I see it. Think about it and let me know." As Mr. Obina left, Dara, who had been quietly listening from the corner, ran up to Chibugo. "Chibugo, this is amazing. You should say yes." Chibugo smiled and ruffled Dara's hair. "It's a big decision, Dara. I want to make sure it's the right one for us." "You always make the right decisions," Dara said confidently. "You'll do great, Chibugo." Over the next few days, Chibugo thought about Mr. Obina's offer. She spoke with Auntie Ifeoma and Mama Chioma, who both encouraged her to take the chance. "Chibugo, you have a gift," Auntie Ifeoma said. "Don't be afraid to share it with the world." On the third day, Chibugo made her decision. She met with Mr. Obina and agreed to his partnership. They signed a contract, and just like that, Chibugo became the head tailor for a new branch of a well-known tailoring business. With her new position, Chibugo's life changed. She began earning enough money to expand their tiny home, adding a proper bedroom and buying new furniture. She even enrolled Dara in school, something Dara had dreamed of for years. The first day of school was an emotional one for both sisters. As Chibugo walked Dara to the gate, Dara squeezed her hand tightly. "Chibugo, what if the other kids don't like me?" Chibugo knelt down and looked into Dara's eyes. "They'll love you, Dara. You're kind, smart, and special. Just be yourself." Dara nodded and gave Chibugo a big hug. "Thank you, Chibugo, for everything." Chibugo watched Dara walk into the schoolyard, her heart swelling with pride. She had kept her promise to give Dara a better life. As the weeks went by, Chibugo balanced her new job and her responsibilities at home. Dara thrived in school, making new friends and excelling in her classes. Every evening, she would come home and excitedly tell Chibugo about her day. "Chibugo, guess what? I got a gold star in class today," Dara said one evening, holding up her notebook proudly. "That's wonderful, Dara," Chibugo said, giving her sister a hug. "I'm so proud of you." Dara smiled brightly. "I want to be just like you, Chibugo, strong and hardworking." Chibugo's eyes filled with tears. "You're already stronger than you know, Dara. You inspire me every day." Despite their progress, Chibugo and Dara never forgot the hardships they had endured. Chibugo often thought about the cruel couple who had hurt Dara and the challenges they had faced alone. But instead of dwelling on the past, she used those memories as motivation to keep moving forward. One evening, as they sat together after dinner, Chibugo said, "Dara, I've been thinking about starting a program to help other kids like us. Kids who have no one to look out for them." Dara's eyes lit up. "Really? That's amazing, Chibugo. We know what it's like to struggle, Chibugo continued. If we can help even one child, it'll be worth it. Dara hugged her sister tightly. You're the best, Chibugo. I want to help too. With their bond stronger than ever and their future looking brighter, Chibugo and Dara began a new chapter in their lives, one filled with hope, purpose, and the determination to make a difference. But as they closed one door, new challenges and adventures awaited them on the horizon. Chibugo's idea to help children like her and Dara took root in her heart. As she worked at the tailoring shop and managed her home, she began saving a small portion of her earnings to fund what she called the Kindness Project. It was her dream to create a space where orphaned and struggling children could find support and learn skills to help them thrive. One quiet evening, as Chibugo and Dara sat together after dinner, Chibugo shared her plan. Dara, I want to open a small center for children who need help. We could teach them sewing, reading, and other skills, Chibugo said, her voice filled with hope. Dara's eyes widened. That sounds amazing, Chibugo. Can I help? Of course, Chibugo replied, smiling. You're my inspiration. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have come this far. Dara hugged Chibugo tightly. I want to make other kids happy too, just like you made me happy. The next day, Chibugo spoke with Auntie Ifeoma about her plan. I want to use my sewing skills to teach children, but I don't know how to start. Auntie Ifeoma smiled warmly. That's a wonderful idea, Chibugo. You can use the back room in my shop to teach sewing. I'll help you get started. Chibugo's heart swelled with gratitude. Thank you so much, Auntie Ifeoma. This means everything to me. With Auntie Ifeoma's support, Chibugo began spreading the word about her project. She visited local schools and churches, asking if there were children who needed help. Slowly, children began to arrive, some orphaned, some from struggling families, all eager to learn. The first day of the program was filled with excitement. Chibugo gathered the children in the back room of Auntie Ifeoma's shop and introduced herself. Welcome everyone, Chibugo said, her voice steady but warm. I'm Chibugo, and this is my sister Dara. We're here to help you learn and grow. Dara waved shyly, holding a basket of snacks she had prepared for the children. We're so happy you're here, she said with a big smile. The children responded with shy smiles and curious eyes. Chibugo began teaching them the basics of sewing, showing them how to thread a needle and make simple stitches. Dara helped by handing out materials and encouraging the children. One little girl, Bolu, stood out to Chibugo. She was quiet and seemed hesitant to participate. During a break, Chibugo knelt beside her. Hi, Bolu, Chibugo said gently. Are you enjoying the class? Bolu nodded slightly, but didn't say anything. Do you know, Chibugo said, lowering her voice, when I was your age, I didn't know how to sew either. But someone believed in me and helped me learn. I want to do the same for you. Bolu's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Chibugo, she whispered. I want to learn. Chibugo smiled and patted her shoulder. You're going to do great, Bolu. I believe in you. As weeks turned into months, Chibugo's program grew. More children joined, and word of her kindness spread throughout the community. People began donating materials and supplies, and Chibugo's tiny project blossomed into a place of hope and learning. Dara took on a bigger role, helping younger children with their lessons and organizing games during breaks. She loved seeing the joy on their faces, knowing she was making a difference. Chibugo, Dara said one evening as they prepared materials for the next day. Do you think Papa and Mama would be proud of us? Chibugo paused, her heart swelling with emotion. I think they'd be very proud, Dara. We've come so far, and it's all because we've stayed strong together. Dara smiled and hugged Chibugo, I love you, Chibugo. I love you too, Dara, Chibugo replied, holding her sister tightly. And I always will. One day, as Chibugo was teaching a group of children, a woman entered the shop. She was well dressed and carried a kind but determined expression. Chibugo looked up, curious. Good afternoon, the woman said. Are you Chibugo? Yes, I am, Chibugo replied, standing up. How can I help you? The woman extended her hand. My name is Mrs. Georgina. I represent a foundation that supports community projects like yours. I've heard wonderful things about what you're doing here, and I'd like to help. Chibugo's eyes widened in surprise. Help? How? We'd like to provide funding for your program, Mrs. Georgina said. With our support, you can expand your space, get better equipment, and help more children. Chibugo felt tears welling up in her eyes. I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet, Mrs. Georgina said with a smile. We believe in people like you, Chibugo. You're changing lives, and we want to help you do even more. That night, Chibugo and Dara sat together, reflecting on how far they had come. Chibugo, this is just the beginning, Dara said, her eyes shining with excitement. You're going to help so many people. We're going to help so many people, Chibugo corrected, smiling at her sister. I couldn't have done this without you, Dara. You're my inspiration. As they sat under the stars, Chibugo felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. The road had been long and filled with pain, but now she and Dara were creating a future filled with hope, love, and kindness. And for the first time in a long time, Chibugo knew they were exactly where they were meant to be. With the support from Mrs. Georgina's foundation, Chibugo's project grew into something she had never imagined. The back room of Auntie Ifeoma's shop was transformed into a proper learning center. It was painted a cheerful yellow, with shelves stocked full of sewing materials, books, and even toys for the younger children. Dara, now a cheerful and confident young girl, became Chibugo's right hand. She helped organize the children, prepared snacks, and even began teaching the younger ones how to read. Seeing Dara happy and thriving made Chibugo's heart swell with pride. One afternoon, as Chibugo was teaching a group of older children how to sew a straight hem, Mrs. Georgina arrived with another surprise. She carried a bundle of papers and a broad smile. Chibugo, I have wonderful news, Mrs. Georgina said, calling her aside. The foundation has decided to fully sponsor your project. You'll have your own building and all the resources you need to grow. Chibugo stared at her in shock. A building? Are you serious? Mrs. Georgina laughed. Very serious. We believe in what you're doing, Chibugo. You've inspired the entire community. Chibugo's eyes filled with tears. I don't know how to thank you. This means everything to me and to the children. You've earned it, Chibugo, Mrs. Georgina said warmly. Now let's make your dream even bigger. The news spread quickly through the town. People came together to support Chibugo's project. Local carpenters and painters volunteered their time to build the new center, while families donated whatever they could: fabric, books, and even old furniture. Dara was overjoyed when she saw the new building taking shape. Chibugo, it's so big, she exclaimed, running through the unfinished rooms. We'll be able to help so many kids. Chibugo smiled, her heart full. Yes, Dara, this is the start of something amazing. On the day of the grand opening, the entire town gathered to celebrate. Children from the program performed songs and dances, and Chibugo gave a heartfelt speech. This center is not just mine, Chibugo said, her voice trembling with emotion. It belongs to everyone, to the children who dream of a better future, to the parents who work hard to provide, and to the community that came together to make this possible. Thank you for believing in us." The crowd erupted into cheers, and Chibugo felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. She spotted Dara in the front row, clapping enthusiastically. Chibugo smiled, knowing that every struggle, every tear had led them to this moment. As the weeks went by, the center became a beacon of hope in the town. Children came not only to learn sewing, but also to read, play, and dream of brighter futures. Chibugo and Dara worked tirelessly to make the center a safe and joyful place for everyone. One day, as Chibugo was reviewing some designs in her office, Dara walked in with a curious expression. "Chibugo, there's someone here to see you." "Who is it?" Chibugo asked, looking up. "It's a little girl," Dara said, stepping aside to let the visitor in. A shy girl, no older than 8, entered the room clutching a torn piece of fabric. Her clothes were worn, and her eyes looked tired, but she carried a spark of hope. "Hello, my name is Neka," the girl said softly. "I heard you help kids like me. Can you teach me how to sew?" Chibugo's heart melted. She knelt down and took the girl's hand. "Of course, Neka. You're in the right place. Welcome to our family." Neka's face lit up with a smile, and Chibugo felt a familiar warmth in her heart. The same warmth she felt when she found Dara in the marketplace. She realized that this little girl, and so many others, were a reflection of the struggles she and Dara had overcome. That evening, as Chibugo and Dara closed up the center, they sat together under the stars outside their home. "Chibugo," Dara said, breaking the silence. "Do you ever think about the past? About everything we went through?" Chibugo nodded. "I do, Dara. It was hard, and there were times I thought we wouldn't make it. But I also know those struggles made us stronger. They brought us here." Dara leaned her head on Chibugo's shoulder. "I'm glad we went through it together. You've always been my hero." Chibugo smiled, wrapping her arm around her sister. "And you've always been my reason to keep going." As they sat together, the light from the new center glowed in the distance, a symbol of how far they had come. For Chibugo and Dara, the journey was far from over, but they faced the future with hope, strength, and the unbreakable bond of sisterhood. The new center quickly became a safe haven for children in the town. Chibugo dedicated herself to teaching sewing, while also running programs to help children learn to read, write, and dream of a brighter future. Dara, now more confident and outgoing, became Chibugo's most trusted assistant. One afternoon, as Dara was helping a group of younger children read, she noticed a boy sitting alone in the corner, staring at his torn shoes. He looked sad and hesitant to join the others. "Hi there," Dara said gently, kneeling beside him. "What's your name?" The boy looked up shyly. "Chinedu," he mumbled. "Chinedu, do you want to join us? We're reading a really fun story," Dara said with a warm smile. Chinedu shook his head. "I don't know how to read." "That's okay," Dara said. "We can teach you. Everyone starts somewhere." Chinedu hesitated for a moment before nodding. Dara led him to the group, and soon he was laughing and reading along with the others. When Chibugo saw this, her heart swelled with pride. Dara's kindness and courage reminded her of how far they had come and how much they had grown. Later that evening, as they were closing up the center, Dara shared her thoughts with Chibugo. "Chibugo, I love helping the kids here. It feels like we're giving them something we didn't have when we were struggling." Chibugo smiled and pulled Dara into a hug. "That's exactly why we do this, Dara. We're turning our pain into hope for others." The next day, as Chibugo was teaching a sewing class, a familiar face appeared at the door. It was Auntie Ifeoma, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Chibugo, I have some news," Auntie Ifeoma said, stepping into the room. "The foundation wants to sponsor a scholarship program for the children here, They believe in what you're doing and they want to help the kids go to school. Chibugo's jaw dropped. A scholarship program? That's incredible. Auntie Ifeoma nodded. They've already approved it. All you need to do is select the first group of children who will benefit. Chibugo was overwhelmed with gratitude. Thank you, Auntie Ifeoma. This is going to change so many lives. That evening, Chibugo and Dara sat together, going through the list of children who attended the center. They carefully chose the ones who would benefit most from the scholarship program. Among them was Chinedu, the shy boy Dara had helped earlier. Chibugo, I think Chinedu should be one of the first, Dara said. He's so eager to learn. Chibugo nodded. I agree. This program is going to open so many doors for him and the others. The scholarship program became a turning point for the center. Children who once felt hopeless now had the chance to go to school and dream of better futures. Chibugo and Dara worked tirelessly to ensure the program's success, organizing fundraisers and workshops to support the children. One afternoon, as Chibugo was sewing a dress for a client, Dara came running into the room. Chibugo, guess what? She exclaimed, out of breath. What is it, Dara? Chibugo asked, setting down her needle. Chinedu got his first report card, and he scored the highest in his class, Dara said, beaming with pride. Chibugo's face lit up. That's amazing. We should celebrate. That evening, Chibugo and Dara gathered the children for a small celebration. They shared snacks and sang songs, their laughter echoing through the center. As Chibugo looked around, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what she had dreamed of, a place where children could feel loved, supported, and hopeful. As the years passed, the center grew into a well-known institution, helping hundreds of children achieve their dreams. Chibugo and Dara became pillars of the community, their story inspiring others to overcome challenges and give back. One evening, as the sun set over the town, Chibugo and Dara sat together on the porch of their now expanded home. Chibugo, Dara said softly, do you ever think about how far we've come? All the time, Chibugo replied, her voice filled with emotion. I think about Papa and Mama and everything we went through. I think they'd be proud of us, Dara. Dara smiled, her eyes shining. I think so too. And I'm proud of you, Chibugo. You never gave up. And I never will, Chibugo said, placing an arm around her sister. Because we're in this together, always. As they sat under the stars, they knew that their journey wasn't just about surviving. It was about creating a legacy of love, hope, and kindness that would live on for generations. Years had passed, and the little center Chibugo had started with Dara had grown into a beacon of hope for their community. The sewing classes had expanded into programs teaching other skills like baking, carpentry, and even computer literacy. Children who once had no future were now thriving, with many pursuing careers and dreams they had once thought impossible. Chibugo and Dara's bond remained unshakable. Together, they had turned their pain into purpose, creating a safe haven for children who needed love and guidance. One sunny afternoon, the center held a special celebration to mark its 10th anniversary. The once humble building had transformed into a beautiful facility, with classrooms, a library, and a large hall. People from all over the community, including past and present students, gathered to celebrate the occasion. Chibugo stood on the stage, looking out at the crowd. Her heart swelled with emotion as she spotted familiar faces. Children who had once struggled now, standing tall, as teachers, doctors, and entrepreneurs. Good afternoon, everyone, Chibugo began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. Today is not just about celebrating the center. It's about celebrating all of you. Each child who walked through these doors, each parent who believed in us, and each person who supported us along the way. You are the reason this dream became a reality. The crowd erupted into applause, and Chibugo spotted Dara beaming at her from the front row. Beside Dara sat Auntie Ifeoma and Mama Chioma, their faces glowing with pride. Chibugo continued, "This journey hasn't been easy. Dara and I started with nothing but hope and determination. We faced challenges that seemed impossible to overcome. But together, with love and support, we turned our pain into something beautiful." Chibugo paused, her eyes scanning the audience. "I dedicate this center to my late parents, Kanayo and Mamachi, who taught us the value of love and kindness. And to every child who walks through these doors, remember, no matter how hard life gets, you can rise above it. You are capable of greatness." As the crowd cheered, Dara joined Chibugo on stage, holding a bouquet of flowers. She handed them to her sister, tears in her eyes. "Chibugo, you're my hero," Dara said into the microphone, her voice trembling. "You never gave up on me, and you never gave up on this dream. I love you." Chibugo hugged her tightly. "I love you too, Dara. Always." The celebration continued late into the evening, filled with music, laughter, and stories of triumph. Children danced in the courtyard, their joy a testament to the impact of Chibugo and Dara's hard work. Former students shared their success stories, thanking the sisters for giving them hope when they had none. One young man approached Chibugo as the celebration wound down. "Auntie Chibugo," he said shyly, using the affectionate title the children gave her. "I just got accepted into university to study engineering. I wouldn't be here without you." Chibugo's eyes filled with tears. "You did the work, Chinedu. I'm so proud of you." Later that night, as Chibugo and Dara walked home, they reflected on the day. The stars were bright above them, and the cool breeze carried the sounds of laughter from the celebration. "Chibugo," Dara said softly, "did you ever imagine we'd come this far?" Chibugo smiled, her heart full. "I dreamed about it, but seeing it happen is something else. We've been blessed, Dara, and it all started with us sticking together." Dara nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. "Thank you for never giving up on me, Chibugo. You're the best sister anyone could ever have." Chibugo pulled Dara into a hug. "And you're the best sister I could ever ask for. Everything I've done, I did for us." As they reached their home, Chibugo paused and looked back at the center, its lights glowing warmly in the distance. "Dara, this is just the beginning," Chibugo said. "The center will continue to grow, helping more children and changing more lives. Our story isn't just ours anymore. It belongs to everyone who believes in hope." Dara smiled, "And it all started with us, together." Chibugo nodded, her heart filled with peace. As they walked inside, Chibugo felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Their journey had been long and difficult, but it had led them to this moment, a life filled with purpose, love, and hope. And though their story had reached its final chapter, their legacy would live on in every child who walked through the doors of the center, proving that even in the face of hardship, love and determination could create something truly beautiful. Lesson from the story. The story of Chibugo and Dara teaches us that no matter how difficult life gets, love, resilience, and determination can help us overcome even the greatest challenges. It shows that holding on to hope and supporting one another can turn pain into purpose. Through Chibugo's courage and selflessness, we learn the importance of kindness, not just to our loved ones, but also to others in need. The story reminds us that even small acts of generosity can create ripples of positive change, inspiring others to rise above their struggles. Ultimately, This story is a powerful lesson about the strength of family, the power of dreams, and the impact of never giving up, no matter how impossible the odds may seem. Thank you so much for watching. Your love and support mean everything to me. If this story inspired you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones to spread the inspiration. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more interesting African stories. See you in the next video. Bye!